Hey everyone, it's Lisa and today is Monday and I kind of wanted to pivot from the video that I did Friday and talk to you moms out there. And I always say young moms, but I just mean, I guess, moms of young children, because you could be any age. I was probably like a little bit of an older mom because John and I, it's both our second marriages. We didn't have children before. So I was 29 when Brooke was born and 33 when Will was born. So a lot of the girls around me were younger and, still are. That's what I mean, moms of young children. That is just such a pivotal part of your life. And to me, arguably the most important part of your life. So I love passing along the things that I think I did right and the many, many, many things that I think I did wrong. Now it's easy to look back. When you're 51, it's easy to look back to your 30s and realize what wasn't worth worrying about, what I should have paid more attention to, and that's what I want to share with you. I'm not preaching, I'm just merely sharing from my heart things that I think will enhance your life now, enhance your children's lives, and enhance your marriage, and enhance your future. I've got so many things that I'm gonna have to split this up into. I've got fashion tips. I had someone ask me about being a young mom and being on a budget. That really strikes home with me. I really want to get into that. I want to tell you especially the things that I did wrong. So I'm gonna split this up. Today I'm just gonna go over 5 points that I think are very important. These things, some of them I did right, some of them I did wrong. The first one is, if you are in a mom group, a church group, a friendship, even a just serious friendship, maybe they're a neighbor, maybe they're, someone you met, friend of a friend, if they make you feel bad in any way, and you may not even recognize it, you need to think about it. When you feel inferior, did it come from a conversation with this friend? And it's just little teeny things. It's little comments they can say about your children, little comments that they'll say about your home, little comments that they'll say about your car. And it may not even seem like an insult, but you know how people make you feel. If you have someone in your life that does that, politely, gently get them out of your life. I used to say break up with them. That was my thing. I had to break up with many people. Some I didn't do soon enough. And the things that they said to me, I can still hear it. I can still see the look on their face when they said it to me, because it just hurt so deep. Because I'm someone who really, I know I don't seem like the most warm and fuzzy person sometimes. Even in person, I probably don't. But I always say this, I don't vibe with a whole lot of people. I like a lot of people, but there's just some people I really connect with. And if that happens, I tend to really go deep with that person. And sometimes that happens and then that person ends up just not making you feel the best. And so it's hard to break up with them. But I have just learned you have to do that for your sanity, for even your marriage, because that person can make you feel inferior. And what do? You turn around to your husband. Why don't I have a BMW like so-and-so does? I remember the days of pulling up at birthday parties to homes on the water, and outside would be, of course, there would be minivans, which I never cared for. I had 2 Volkswagen Passat wagons, and I loved them. So I would, you'd see the BMW, the Lexus, the, big Suburban, all of the, nicer cars. And so that's, your first impression. Then you're going into this house that's so much bigger. Then you're going to this birthday party with a clown, a pony, a whole bouncy house and everything else. And it's easy to let that make you feel less than. I was pretty good about this. I would reflect to myself, I don't want that payment of that BMW. I don't want that payment of this house. I'm not ready to live on the water because it would freak me out living on the water with small children. I am not jealous of this person because their marriage is not good, and I'm just going to not hold that against them, whatever they just said. So I would try to reflect on things like that and then think about all the things that I had to be grateful for. That would usually, bring me back. But there were people that just always seemed to slightly make me feel less than and slightly make me feel like I needed something bigger, better. And the best thing you can ever do is to politely, gently break up with that person and find your group. Even if it's one person, find that person that you don't feel judged by, you don't feel inferior to, you don't feel like they're talking behind your back, you don't feel like they're competing with your kids with their kids. I mean, you know what I mean. I was so lucky. The little street that we lived on in my last house, I had a neighbor across the street, and she had 2 girls, and I tell her all the time, I miss her so much, and I admired her so much. She was such a good mom. I could tell she loved my kids. I could tell she cared about me. She never once said anything snide to me. She had a good marriage. I felt like we had a lot of the same values. And a lot of times, we would spend time talking about yard work and stuff, which I'll get into. We would, maybe walk up to the bus stop. And I, looking back, I just really value her and I miss her. And then I had some other friends too that I knew cared about my children, cared about me, and never made me feel bad. But I would say there were more people that didn't. Now, I know you'll be in friend groups and everything with some people. Just try to not go deep with them. Try to keep it a polite, just friendly conversation, and just try not to let them in your heart, because that's when someone can really, really hurt you. Okay, number 2. This is something that I think I did right. And I think that because of social media, because of YouTube, a lot of this has gotten lost. A lot of girls, they're into makeup, into fashion, then they end up getting married and, having children, and they're still kind of clinging on to that makeup and fashion mindset. And I think what you have to do is kind of let go of that. I'm not saying let go of yourself, let go of what's important, but shift your focus a little bit onto more home children type things. I can remember really getting into even cleaning, like really getting into keeping my house so clean and neat, really getting into home decor, little things like painting or, going to thrift stores and getting a chair to recover, things like that. Gardening. I really, really got into flowers and my yard. And when Brooke was little, all the way up until I had Will, I think I've told you this, every afternoon we would water the plants, and we would go outside. It would usually be about an hour before John was coming home. We would go outside, and I would make sure I had her little gloves, her gardening tools, her different kinds of watering cans. And then what started is different kids in the neighborhood would come over and help me water my plants. So I started getting all kinds of little cute watering cans, and we would go out and we would water my plants. Sometimes the moms would come over with them, and it was just a good afternoon thing to do. And I would just let them make a mess. Then John would get home, and then probably about 30 minutes after that, we would start wrapping up, go in, take our bath, cook dinner, and then, do our nighttime stuff. So I think what I did right is I really knew that it wasn't time for me. Whether I consciously did it or not, I would get into things that were fun to me and that benefited my family. I remember taking Brooke to go strawberry picking, and then we came home and we made freezer jam with our strawberries. I got into the Pampered Chef and got into making all of those different recipes. Another thing I did a lot more when I was younger is we would have other couples over, and I got into entertaining a little bit more, making crab dip and just getting everything just right. And then their children would play with our children and we would have a nice dinner. That was what I kind of got into. I would still loved makeup, but I had one drawer full of makeup. And we'll go into the makeup and the clothes because I do have some tips for that too. So that is my tip. Try to shift your focus a little bit. You still want to look good, feel good, and do those things that make you, you, but shift your, I'm going to say obsessive because that's how I am. Shift your obsessive focus to things that benefit your family and things that are more practical for you to do at that time. I see you. Okay, now, so say you're into cooking and you're into home decor and you look those things up on YouTube. Well, of course, what are you going to see? You're going to see people with these grand kitchens. You're going to see people with these huge houses. And it's easy to let that, whether you know it or not, it's easy to let that kind of dampen your spirit a little bit. This is my biggest advice. First of all, try your best not to compare yourself to other people, but that is way easier said than done. The thing that has always worked best for me is compare yourself to who you were yesterday. That works throughout your life. So what I have always tried to do is to become a better and better and better whatever I'm doing. I might be a better and better and better flower gardener. I might be a better and better and better cook, better and better entertainment. I always try to compare myself to who I was yesterday. But this is another tip. Don't watch those people that are, first of all, if they're on YouTube, they're probably doing it for a living. So it makes more sense for them to have more pots and pans, a better, bigger kitchen that might even be just a setup for their videos. Try to compare yourself to someone like you. Apples to apples, oranges to oranges. You know how you were yesterday. Try to take what you learned. Try to take the things that you didn't do right. Like when I got into the pound cakes, I was determined I was making the best pound cake there ever was. So I made pound cake after pound cake. And I loved learning about the different flours you can use, the different methods, the different pans. So that was something that I could do, my whole family could benefit from. It was something I could do while I was home with my children and, doing this and that, all the things I needed to do. It was something that kind of fed my soul because I could work on becoming better and better and better. That's kind of like a small example, but you can go with anything. You could go with anything that you're interested in. Okay, the next thing I would say is patience. Patience will be your best friend, and I have very little patience. I've gotten much better at patience, and I think it's because of this one thing. Have fun looking forward to things. Have fun setting a goal and then working towards that goal. Like John and I would set goals, even if we didn't, sit down and say that. We always knew we would one day get XYZ. And spend more time planning and knowing that one day you are going to wear high heels again. One day you may have a sports car again. Don't get wrapped up into, I've lost myself. I'm not that person. I'm not the hot girl I used to be. All the things that I would say to myself, Of course, I always wanted to be a mom and I always wanted children. So that was a really easy sacrifice for me to make. I didn't mind driving the wagon, because that was my identity. I wanted to be that person, but I wanted the sportiest wagon they had, and I wanted to tint my windows. I still modified everything to my style. But what I wish I would have done more is sit down with John and really brainstorm and even dream and set goals, attainable goals, and had fun kind of reaching those. I think we did that without, really talking about it, But I now love that. I love to set a goal in my mind, and working for it is just as much fun, if not more, than achieving it. It's kind of like if you're looking forward to a party or looking forward to a big meal or looking forward to some event, sometimes the looking forward to it is the best part. But make that, part of your daily life, even with your home, and be realistic and be patient and enjoy the process. Okay, the next one, number 5, is teamwork. It is very easy to, and I'm sure it's like this with moms that go to work, it might even be worse because you're both going to work, one of you is picking up the kids, and then, who's going to cook? But I can only speak from my experience, and I know that it's easy to get into well, I did this, you did that, and you're home all day, and it's easy to think, well, they've got it so easy. But you have to remember, they're at work, and home needs to be a place that they look forward to coming home to, and it needs to be a place where you spend that time building your family unit. You need to spend that time building your marriage and building your family structure, your unit, your bonds. And so try not to become resentful. If you need to communicate more, I used to have to really self-reflect because I would catch myself feeling jealous that he got to get dressed and go somewhere. But, I would think, Lisa, this is what you wanted. You wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. He is going to work. He is paying our bills. He's got our insurance. He is a good man, a good father. He comes home. He does not want me to have an attitude. That is not what I want for my husband, my life. That's not what I want for me and my family. So I would have to get over it. And trust me, John would come home and sometimes turn right back around and go to the gym. He would have work functions and everything. So I would have to, like I always say, suck it up. I would have to suck it up. And another thing is, I always say to myself, is pick your sacrifice. I sacrificed those things to be a stay-at-home mom. I sacrificed, and I'm not saying it like, oh, I sacrificed. I'm just saying I had to say it to myself. You picked this. You decided to be this stay-at-home mom. You wanted the children. So you cannot hold it against him for doing what he's supposed to do. You have to keep that in mind. Don't make it a you against him. If you feel yourself getting there, try to really self-reflect and really talk to him and tell him how you're feeling. And, he may have some feelings too. Try to make it a warm place. Your kids want to see your husband and their daddy come home. Don't make it a bad situation when they get there. Another thing that I didn't think of, and I don't think a lot of people think of, is a lot of times, I know John and we dated, I think it was, 3 months later we were engaged. I think 8 months later we were married. And then however months later, I think it only took 2 months to get pregnant with Brooke, and then we had a family, which we knew, I can go into that later, but we knew we were on the same page, and that was our plan. So that was the beginning of our marriage. It was really like the beginning of our relationship together. And something you don't realize, and I think most people have children probably within the first, 5 years of their marriage, which is really, it may seem like a long time at the time, but it's really the beginning of your marriage. Think of those years as building blocks for the future. I think a lot of people probably get divorced when they have small children, and a lot of that issue may be the children. It may be their budget. It may be the expectations that they had that they didn't discuss before they got married. You really need to, I will link up here a before you get married video that I did that I really still believe in. So a lot of things just kind of happen like right there at the beginning of your marriage. And I just hate to think of all the people that probably could have stayed together, that probably still loved each other so much. They loved their children. They wanted to be married, but they just couldn't take the constant arguing, the constant resentment, and they lost respect for each other, and they ended up getting a divorce. And I think a way that you can kind of maybe get through that is think of that time as the building blocks for your marriage after your kids get older, because I'm telling you, there comes a day that you turn around and there's no kids there and it's just you and him. And if you didn't work on that marriage and that friendship and that relationship the whole time, you may be standing there with a stranger. And you don't want that to happen. I know John and I feel like we love and respect each other the most we ever have. And I think that is because it's because we were both older, more mature when we got married, and we really laid the groundwork and we really knew we were working towards the same things, but that didn't go without. I always think about this little thing that happened, and maybe you'll get what I'm talking about. But you know, we had that routine, especially when we first moved in our house. Brooke was just, I think, 1 year old, and we built it basically ourselves. John got his contractor's license, so we were doing our own landscaping. And there were days that we were out in the yard all day, and of course I was the one mostly, you know, entertaining Brooke and everything. And then it would get to that time where it was dinner time and time for her to take a bath. And we used to have to pick her up and take her straight, like John would go get the bath ready, and I would, you know, sometimes have to even undress her and take her straight in to the bathtub. And she had, you know, the whole routine, the toys, the bubbles, this, that, and the other thing. And I would go ahead and start dinner. Then John would finish up. I can't remember exactly how it went, but I remember this little argument so vividly. I remember going in there, and you know how there's always toys and bubbles and like yuck in the tub, especially when they're that dirty, and you have to take the shower head and then you have to get all the toys out, you know, and get everything cleaned up. And for some reason this night, I must have been in a bad mood or something, and I fussed at John for that. I just got through cleaning up the tub like I do every night, and he said, well, you always do it, so I never think about it. And I was like, that's right, I do. How was he supposed to know tonight, out of all the nights, I really was gonna get, you know, ticked off about that? I must have been kind of just at my wit's end or tired or something like that. Always remember that. That just comes with communication. And you do kind of like in a marriage, especially with young children, you know, you'll get your kind of like different little tasks that you do. So that's something to easily get resentful or angry about, but always keep that in mind. If they already expect you to do it, then don't get mad because you're already doing it. And if you are, maybe discuss that. So those are just a few things that I thought may help you. I know some of these things helped me, and I wish I would have thought about some of these things to help me even more. My best advice is just enjoy this time. I mean, you will have the rest of your life to buy handbags. You will have the rest of your life to buy makeup. You will just have plenty of time, like we have had, to buy another house, another car. Just enjoy your children. Enjoy that time that you will never get back. I could cook a big meal now, and I could have Brooke come home and everybody sit down. It's still not going to be like it was when I got to pull up that high chair to the side and I got to just be in that mommy stage. It will never be like that again. So please enjoy those times. If your floor is a mess, just leave it a mess. Just don't worry about it. Just enjoy your kids. And thank you so much for watching. I will be making more videos like this. My outfit of the day is just an older Zara dress, some good big sunglasses that I will put in my hair most of the day, and my fragrance of the day is this one. It's the Narciso Rodriguez, and I believe this one, what is the name of this one? Ombre. It is so good. It is so good. I'll put the notes up here, but it's light, it's sexy, it's a good summery scent. I believe it might have either Tahitian flower or ylang ylang in it. Musky. It's a good one. I have all my Dean Davidson jewelry, and I've got lots to do today. I just wanted to talk to you for a little bit, and I will see you. I've got a video for tomorrow, so I will probably see you on Friday. Have a good week, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.